"Stop right there. You cannot bring that baby inside this office." A sharp voice cut through the quiet hallway, and every head turned as a tired young mother froze in place, holding her child like the last piece of hope she had left. She stood there, shoulders tight, eyes heavy from nights without sleep, yet her grip on the baby was gentle, almost sacred. Her name was Alana, and though no one in that glass tower knew it, she carried more strength in her silence than most carried in their loudest words. Her clothes were clean but worn, her shoes thin from miles walked, and her gaze carried that quiet ache only people who have fought alone truly understand. Around her, co-workers watched but said nothing. Some avoided her eyes, others whispered behind screens, and a few simply looked away, as if her struggle might follow them home if they stared too long. The rule was clear: no children in the office, and rules, in places like this, often felt heavier than human hearts. Alana had not always been this tired. There was a time when her life held soft laughter and warm evenings. She had once worked 2 jobs with pride, saving for a future she believed would be steady and safe. But life had shifted in one sudden storm. The father of her child had left before the baby even opened his eyes to the world. Bills rose like waves, and support never came. Nights became longer, filled with the soft cries of her baby and the louder silence of worry. She remembered walking miles just to reach a job interview, the heat pressing down on her skin, her arms aching from holding her child, yet her spirit refusing to break. She remembered the smell of cheap coffee that kept her awake, the cold air of waiting rooms, and the quiet sting of rejection after rejection. Still, she never let her baby feel that fear. She held him close, whispering promises she prayed she could keep. One day, she told herself, things will change. One day, someone will see me. Now, she stood in a place that felt both like an answer and a test. This job, this office, this chance was everything. But childcare had fallen through that morning, and there was no one else. No safety net, no backup plan, just her and the small life in her arms. The manager's face tightened as if her presence alone was a problem that needed fixing. The air grew heavy, thick with judgment. "Rules are rules," the manager said, her voice colder now, sharper. And yet Alana did not argue. She did not raise her voice. She only lowered her gaze for a moment, adjusting the blanket around her baby, as if shielding him not just from the room but from the weight of the world itself. In that silence, something deeper stirred, something stronger than anger. It was dignity. The hours passed slowly, tension building like a storm waiting to break. Alana was allowed to stay, only because no one wanted to deal with the scene of sending her away. But every glance, every whisper, every quiet laugh pressed against her like invisible hands trying to push her out. She worked quietly, moving with care, her baby resting against her chest, his small breaths steady and warm. There was a rhythm between them, a silent understanding that kept her grounded. At one point, the baby began to stir, soft cries slipping into the quiet office. Heads turned again, eyes narrowed. The manager stepped closer, ready to end it all. "This is not acceptable," she began. But before the moment could collapse, something unexpected shifted. Down the hall, behind a closed door, the CEO had been watching, a man known for his discipline, his strict standards, and his quiet authority. His presence alone carried weight, yet no one expected him to step into this moment. He opened the door slowly, his expression unreadable, his gaze moving not to the manager, not to the employees, but directly to Alana. He saw what others refused to see, not a problem, not a rule broken, but a mother fighting quietly to survive. There was a pause, a stillness so deep it seemed to hold the entire room in place. Then he walked forward, each step calm, deliberate. The whispers faded, the tension shifted. He spoke with a voice that did not need to rise to be heard. "Strength does not always look loud," he said softly, yet every word landed like truth. "Sometimes it looks like someone who refuses to give up when the world gives them every reason to." The room fell silent. The manager stepped back. No one moved. The CEO turned to Alana, his eyes softer now, carrying something rare in spaces like this. "Respect. You may use my office," he said, his tone steady, offering not just space but dignity. There was no pity in his words, only recognition. Alana hesitated for a moment, not because she doubted him, but because she was not used to kindness arriving without a price. In his office, the world felt different. The noise faded, replaced by quiet air and soft light. Alana sat carefully, her baby finally settling into sleep against her chest. The exhaustion she had been holding back for so long began to surface. Her body relaxed, her eyes closing just for a moment, then longer than she expected. She fell asleep there, not out of carelessness, but because her strength had carried her as far as it could. The CEO returned later, pausing at the doorway. He saw her sleeping, her head tilted slightly, her baby safe in her arms, both wrapped in a moment of peace that felt almost sacred. He did not wake her. He did not interrupt. He simply stood there, understanding something deeper than rules, something beyond structure. He understood that true leadership is not about control. It is about compassion. When she awoke, the room felt warmer, lighter. There was no judgment waiting for her, no cold stares. Instead, there was quiet change. Word had spread, but not in whispers. In respect, employees who once looked away now held doors open. Eyes that once judged now softened. The manager, once rigid, now stood still, her expression no longer sharp but thoughtful. The CEO had not made a speech, had not demanded change. He had simply acted, and in that action, everything shifted. Because sometimes, the loudest statement is made without raising a voice. Alana returned to her desk, not as someone barely tolerated, but as someone seen. Her presence no longer felt like a problem, it felt like strength. Days passed, and something unexpected began to grow. Not just respect, but connection. The CEO continued to notice her quiet determination. The way she worked without complaint, the way she carried herself with grace even in struggle. And slowly, something deeper formed. Not rushed, not forced, but real. Built on understanding, on shared silence, on the recognition of strength in another human being. There is a kind of love that does not begin with grand gestures. It begins with seeing, truly seeing. And in that office, between quiet glances and unspoken respect, something rare was born. Not just love between two people, but a reminder that dignity, when honored, can change everything. One simple act had shifted an entire room, an entire system, an entire way of thinking, because in a world that often rewards noise, her silence became her power. And in a place ruled by rules, humanity became the strongest force of all. Some people fight loudly and are heard. Others fight quietly and are felt, and the ones who are felt leave a mark that never fades. If this story touched something in you, take a moment to share where you are watching from. Let your voice be part of something bigger. And if you believe in stories that honor quiet strength and unseen battles, stay connected, because there are many more waiting to be told.